Welcome back,
Welcome
everyone.
back, everyone.
We're very sorry
We're very sorry
for the
for
interruption,
the interruption,
but
but
I'm back.
back.
So happy
So
Sunday.
happy Sunday.
Today,
Today,
this month we've had
we've had
a couple of
a
guests.
couple of guests with
Somehows
those
providers.
providers.
What else? We've
What
had
else?
different.
We've had different.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome.
So we've had
So
different
we've
people,
had different people
and to come
and
talk
to
about
come
services,
services, resource,
and everything,
and everything.
autism awareness,
Autism awareness
and other
and
developmental.
other developmental.
So
So
wrapping up the
wrapping
month,
up the month,
I have
I
this
have
beautiful
this
guest.
beautiful guest.
Hello.
I
I have this beautiful.
have this beautiful.
I've been now for how many years?
For how many years?
Almost 3 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Almost
So
3 years.
OT.
OT.
Don't know what
Don't know
OT
what
means.
OT means.
Not therapy.
Not therapy.
Therapists.
Therapists.
And she's been in
And she's been in
one as I don't know. She will share
She will share
with you.
with you.
This woman, right?
This woman, right?
When I say
When I say
energy,
energy,
it's full of
it's full of.
yeah. Look,
Yeah.
this
Look.
yeah.
Oh, it's making
Yeah.
echoing. Uh-oh.
But can you hear
But
the
can
echo?
you hear the echo?
I can't, you kind of go in and out, but I'm able to pick up on what you're saying. But I think my mom just texted and said that she's not seeing anything. So I don't know. We'll replay it. I don't know.
Oh, this is strange.
This is strange.
Give me 1 second. Let me see what I
Give me
can
1
do.
second. Let me see what I can do again.
So I'm trying to um okay.
Okay. So
Okay. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
I still echo.
That's still echo.
We're going to manage. We're going to push through. We got this.
Okay.
This is so funny.
This is so funny.
But thank you.
But thank you for being flexible.
So when we
So
go,
when we go,
thank you.
thank you.
Any luck?
Any luck?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So
Okay.
when we go,
So when we go,
I'll give you time to
I'll give
talk
you
so that
time
people
to
can
talk so
hear
that people can hear
what you want.
what you want.
But
But
so like I said,
so
welcome
like I
to
said,
Lucky Minds
welcome to Lucky Minds on
Byron Kimura.
Byron Kimura.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have
So I'm
Nicole
gonna have Nicole
before we get started on the question.
the question. So
Nicole, the floor is
Nicole,
open.
the floor is open.
Yourself.
Okay, thank you, Ronke. First I want to say thank you so much. I just feel so privileged to be here. I feel like we have been connected since day one. But first, let me just give a little bio about me. My name is Nicole Raymond. I'm an OT a little over 15 years, and I predominantly work. Okay, they're texting me asking me if I'm in. Predominantly work in the pediatric population setting. So I've worked in so many different environments, early intervention, doing home care therapy. I also work in elementary school. I feel like I work across the span of the educational journey. So from early intervention, elementary school, that was predominantly most of my career. And then I recently moved or transferred to a middle and high school. So I feel like I've gone across the timeline of a young adult, and just, just enjoying what I do and truly passionate about helping young minds learn functional skills to be independent in their life. Um, but yes, going back to just being so grateful and honored to be here, Ronke, you are a blessing. I am just so excited. When you asked me to do this, my fear said no, but my heart and my spirit said yes in Jesus' name. So I'm just so honored to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So,
That you
shout to you.
shout to you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
For saying yes.
For saying yes.
With you.
Um,
Grateful for this opportunity.
Grateful for this opportunity.
Yes.
To go ahead and address the question.
And address the question
So that we don't take too
so
much.
that we don't take too much.
So I know today.
I know today.
We're talking about functioning.
Mhm.
But, first of all, what executive
function
for someone who has no idea?
who have no idea?
So I think that's a great topic, because I feel oftentimes we navigate life and don't know the intricate details about how our brain operates and how we kind of just maneuver around in the different spaces in our life. So simply, what is executive functioning is how a child or an adult, young adult, follows directions, how they manage their emotions, how they complete routines successfully or independently. So, with executive function, the main definition is basically a set of skills, mental or cognitive skills that work together to help you achieve a goal. So, essentially, these skills are basically time management, planning, organization. Let me look at my cheat sheet, because let me look at my quick reference guide. Task initiation, working memory, sustained attention, goal directed persistence, response inhibition, emotional control, flexibility, and metacognition. And the thing with that is, like, it really encompasses how we know, how we learn how to plan, how we focus, how we sustain attention in school and at work, at home, in our communities. So it really is the big hub of how we operate as individuals, basically.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yep.
Thank you for sharing
Thank you
that.
for sharing that.
I love how you
I love how you
took time to
took
explain
time to explain
that concept,
that
because it's
concept, because it's
that we know
that
what.
we know what.
So I'll move on.
So I'll move on.
But before I go
But before
on,
I go on,
welcome everyone.
welcome everyone.
Please feel free to
Please
share
feel free
live
to share live
so that it can get
so that
across.
it can get across.
All right. So my
All right.
second
So my
question:
second question:
how does
how
executive
does executive
impact daily life
impact daily life
with autism
with
or
autism
autism?
or autism?
So, how autism impacts daily life? It directly impacts daily life. Oftentimes, you following a routine is very difficult to follow a routine. So, getting ready in the morning without constant reminders, right? Because having a plan in place might be difficult to follow, or transitioning between different activities or different environments. Or learning to control your frustration when it comes to things that you feel are difficult. Um, One thing I've noticed that it really is predominantly happening in school is following multi-step directions. So in the school environment, you have kids that, especially in middle school and high school, they are literally going in different hallways and crowded hallways, and they have to find their class. They have to get in their class. They have to sit at their chair. They have to take their things out their backpack. They have to open their planner, write down their homework, put their planner away, follow the directions of the teacher, whether it's a class book that they're reading or a novel that they're reading or learning about a certain topic. Say it's social studies. That's something that is this enormously amount of history and facts, right? And a lot of kids get frustrated because it's just so packed with information. So following multi-step directions could be really difficult for someone that is struggling with how they can navigate different spaces and places. And so that is definitely essentially how it can directly impact their function throughout the day. And it really is helping them learn those tools or those different strategies to support them to live independently and successfully. So it's a matter of like, how do they get it done? Can they get it done well? Can they get it done on time? Are they missing things? Are they distracted? Those are things that like you look at a child uniquely and say what is happening, why they're struggling, and where's the breakdown that's happening, that's impacting their daily life. It's a very interesting topic. Since working in middle school and high school, I feel like I've seen more of those struggles in the higher grade levels because the demands are higher, right? The classes are more difficult, more challenging. Then you have state tests, then you have Regents exams, then you have all these other things that combined, it really can get overwhelming, and it can really cause a breakdown or dysregulated behaviors.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
That's a real
That's a
one
real one because
I feel like that
I
age,
feel like that age
reality sets in.
reality sets in.
So thank you for
So
explaining
thank you for explaining that.
that. And if you see me looking to
And if you see me looking to my,
I have my questions
I have
right
my
here.
questions right here.
That's okay. I got you, sis. I got you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my
Okay.
next,
We don't need our reminders.
can you
Can you
explain the
explain
connect
the connect
executive function
executive
and
function
Mhm.
and sense
emotional regulation?
emotional regulation?
Okay, so this is my jam. This is what I like to talk about because we're talking about the brain and how the brain operates and how we are having to learn things and strengthen things and how everything connects. So executive function is directly connected to emotional regulation, right? They're not separate skills. They're deeply connected as one process. So I'm going to make an analogy. So say this is the frontal lobe, right? Executive function lives in the frontal lobe, specifically in the prefrontal cortex. So this is where planning, this is where problem solving, this is where, like we mentioned, the skills organized in executive function. So this is predominantly where executive function lives. Then we have the limbic system. That's one thing I didn't get to cover. So the limbic system is like the emotional brain. And one particular structure in the limbic system is the amygdala. And so when we have the prefrontal cortex being where we have the conscious thoughts and problem solving, and then we have the limbic system, which is the emotional brain. So we have the thinking brain and we have the emotional brain. Now the connection is that if the prefrontal cortex is activated, the limbic system can relax and it won't be as overexerted. So we have the prefrontal cortex and we're learning to think through things and we're learning to plan and sequence things, then the emotional regulation won't be as alarming. But when the limbic system, it's basically like the alarm system. It basically senses danger or threats or like what we know as the fight or flight trauma response, right? And so when the limbic system is now activated, the analogy is then we have this bottom up approach. So the limbic system is primarily being affected or being activated, and the prefrontal cortex is literally offline, right? So then we're working on what we're seeing is frustration, we're seeing impulsivity, we're seeing disorganization. And so we have to work on those strategies where, okay, how can we get them to a safe space? How can we get them to calm? How can we get them to a regulated state of calm? So when we start to work on building those mindfulness techniques and those grounding techniques, we can then operate from our thinking brain. So, for example, how can I think of an example? So, for example, for me personally, I was on the train because I didn't even mention that I work in New York City public schools. And so I commute from Jersey to New York. So when I go on the train, I tend to stand up because I don't want to sit down in case I have to fight or flight. and so and so my whole thing is to stand up. So just in case, the door opens, I can make a run. So once I entered the train, there was a man that was like on this whole rant. And he specifically was targeting me and another young lady on the train. And so my fight or flight response was on high alert. And I felt like because my limbic system was experiencing that trauma, I had to like really tap into my feelings and my emotions. I really felt like I was in danger. I really felt like bells and whistles were going on my system. And then I quickly said, okay, how can I plan an active response instead of just freezing? Once I get to the next stop, my plan was to exit that car and go into the next car of the train. And so someone where that's when I became more calmer. I felt like I was able to think through that despite the emotions or the high emotions that was going, because it was really escalating. And I've never felt in fear or extreme danger on the train, so to speak. But in that case, I really felt like it truly was a fight or flight response. So in that sense, I feel like the mechanisms were working, but some of our students, they don't have that relationship between their emotional regulation and their frontal lobe or their prefrontal cortex. And so the frustration can come in where I have a physics exam in 2 weeks. I don't know how to study. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I don't have a study strategy. I don't know where to begin. I don't have time for this. And it really can snowball and spiral. So that's pretty much the connection of emotional regulation and executive function.
Wow. Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Oh my gosh.
It's like you said a
It's a
lot.
lot.
Is that a lot?
And I got
And I got
um, that's really interesting.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
really
you.
interesting
Yeah,
how
thank you.
intricately the brain works and how things are connected. Because oftentimes, when you're operating in stress and anxiety, you're really affecting the limbic system. And then you can't think. You can't say, how can I develop a plan? How can I work? Like you're operating from a place of stress and anxiety and that fear or those, intense feelings. But in order to find balance, you can feel your feelings, but we also have to get into a place of how can I work through this? How can I think through this in a way to be successful?
Hmm. Wow.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I took analogies and I kind of relate
relate
because I feel like
because I
people,
feel like people,
especially kids who
who
they will
they
already engage
will already engage
thinking about what they've done.
about what they've done.
I see a lot of that.
I see a lot of that.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you time to
time
very, very helpful.
very helpful.
Um questions, if you please comment
comment
in the section. people can address them as we move
as we move
profession.
profession.
People to like and
Feel free to
share.
like and share.
All right.
All right.
The next.
The next.
Rocky, I'm just gonna turn on my light. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if you've
I'm not sure if you've had,
but I'm gonna ask.
ask.
How do emotional
How do
regulation
emotional regulation
challenges show up
challenges show up in
young adults?
young adults?
Sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
Yeah. So how do
Yeah. So
emotional
how do emotional
show up in
show
children or
up
young
in children
adults?
or young adults?
Oh, that's a good question. So we're not born to know how to use our executive function, right? Through learning and through experiences and through processes and through support, we learn to strengthen that. It honestly, in the research says that by the age of 25 to 30, that's when it's fully matured. That's when the prefrontal cortex is fully matured at that age. So we're literally learning through stages of going through our life stages developmentally with tools that we might not have. And so we do have weakness when it comes to executive function. And so instead of us saying, why is this child behaving like this? Why are they doing that? We can say, what is it that we can do to support them so they can build on these skills? How the challenges that we see are like the impulsivity, the disorganization, the emotional outbursts. So over the course of time, and we're talking about young adults going into the workforce, going into college, still possibly struggling with executive function. I'm my big age and I still feel like I have issues also. But honestly, I know I struggle with being a procrastinator, but I know that okay, I could put in reminders in my phone. I use my planner. I exhaust the use of my planner because I have to write everything down. I have to write every single thing down. I use my calendar. These days in this generation, everything is digital, right? So they don't prefer the paper pencil system. They rather placing things online, and that's fine. Let's evolve into that new system. So things in a whole Google system. They have a Google Calendar. They have Google Keep. They have ways of in Google Classroom. They have the different reminders in each classroom that says this is due, that's due. So those are support mechanisms that can happen for our young minds to help shape them to be better individuals so they can be efficient and effective in their classroom. Um, the schools that I work in, it is a general education setting. So they are in a class of 25 kids, and you'll have probably one or two teachers, and it's 7, 8 periods for the day. So you're going from one class to the next, one period to the next. And you have algebra, you have physics, you have chemistry. Those are a lot of tough subjects, right? So it's a matter of how are they functioning with understanding the class information and knowing how to like really operate in their executive function skills.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
You know, with what you said,
With what you said,
an OT.
an OT.
We all need an OT.
We all need an OT.
Oh my goodness. I wish I had OT in high school. We all run cake.
You know, when you were talking about
writing,
using the planner, I have on my phone. You see my schedule. I have to put it down.
Mhm.
Work.
Mhm.
I'm that person. So every single day, I check my schedule.
Yes.
To be sure that
Yes. And that's what works for you, right? That's your learning style. That's what works for you. And with our kids, a lot of times we give them these tools and it might not work for them. And sometimes they reject it. Sometimes they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to feel singled out. They don't want this. They want to be, quote unquote normal. But I have to say to them, I'm not telling you something I've heard. I'm telling you something I know. I'm not sitting here telling you something that works for this. I'm telling you things that work for me. So I'm giving you these tips and guidelines because once you graduate from high school, we're entering the real world where there's not going to be the support that you need, that you are entitled to. Like once you get into college, and there are kids in my school, in high school in general, that are college bound, and they know that they have an IEP, but you can still be a excellent student in college, just knowing how to advocate for your needs to get the modifications because they're there. You can get the accommodations in college once you advocate for yourself, and that's where the true independence comes in. I have kids that are not college bound or college ready, but we're talking about life skills. We're talking about what does it look like if what you're truly interested in, what are you passionate about? Let's look towards that. What job market, what's the job market like for what you want to do? So this is when executive function skills are really going to come into play. So really tapping into that now, building the independence, building the confidence, building the success, building the tools that they need for everyday life.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Uh, I think people can.
I think people can.
Oh,
I feel like people can hear the feedback from my
you
end.
disappeared for a little bit.
I know. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me?
Oh, the sound went back
Can you
again.
hear me? You can't hear me?
The sound went low again.
Can you hear me?
It's very low, but can everyone hear both of us?
Yes.
I'll just try hard to listen to you.
Yeah, they can hear us.
Okay.
How
Thanks
is
for
the
hearing me
sound?
both. I'll just try my best to
They can hear
read your
us.
mouth.
How is the sound? Is it echoing or is good? They said it's good.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
Hi, mommy. She said, "Didn't hear from you."
thank you for joining. Thank you for supporting us. Okay. So I'm gonna move to the next question. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna move to the next question. Can you hear me, Nicole?
I can. It's very very low. It sounds like you're underwater, but I'm just gonna do
Wow.
my best to hear you.
Okay.
Just keep going. We're gonna push through this, Ronke. We're gonna push through.
Okay. All right. So I have another question with me here. How does difficulty with sensory processing affect executive functioning skills like focus, planning, and self-control?
How does sensory processing?
How does difficulty with sensory processing affect executive function skills like focus, planning, and self-control?
Okay, so um, if I heard you correctly, so sensory processing is essentially how we take in our stimuli from the environment, how we process it, how our brain processes it, and we register it, and the output is how we function in our environment. So there are 8 senses, but I'm just going to talk about 5. So the sense of taste, smell, hearing, touch. What's the last one?
Okay.
Taste, smell, hearing, touch, and oh my gosh, I can't remember. Okay, I can remember. But essentially, when it comes to children that have sensory processing difficulties or disorders, sight, praise God, thank you. With my 4 eyes.
Thank you for catching that.
those that have sensory processing disorder, they can have overreaction to any one of those sensory stimulants, or an underreaction to that. So an overreaction can be it is too noisy. Their threshold is very low. And so when they are in a space that is too noisy, it might be too noisy to them, but it's just fine for us, right? And so there's an overreaction to that sound, to that sense of sound. Same thing with picky eating. You know, kids have certain tactile defensiveness where there's certain textures or food textures that they can't tolerate, and certain temperatures of the food that they can't tolerate. So you're just looking at the overreaction and the underreaction on those two spectrums of sensory processing. um, I'll give you an example. I have a student that he's in 11th grade. He's been having a lot of intense emotional issues coming from home. There's divorce, there was a lot. He lost his grandfather recently. And so he has a lot of heavy emotional and mental issues. We have built a trust together where if he is having a moment or is having a really, really bad episode, he knows to come to my room. And I've said to him, my door is always open. So he took me up, he took that on that request, and he came to my room. And so he had an immediate crisis. We were able to talk through it. He really wanted to go home, and I was able to have him to redirect him to know that, you know, the problems are still going to exist tomorrow. So let's like really deal with that today. That's the emotional regulation aspect, right? Because he really just wanted to fight or flight and just escape and not be in that environment, in the school environment. So now fast forward, as an 11th grade at this time of year, he's supposed to the college fair was Friday. So based on everything that was happening, we kind of came to a peaceful conclusion. And he was like, well, I'm just going to go to class. And I said, well, what are your plans or your thoughts to attend a college fair? He said, honestly, I really don't want to go because I really feel like it's overcrowded, it's noisy, and it's overwhelming.
Mm.
The way that he identified that in order to understand what dysregulates him, he was able to advocate for his needs and say, I can't make that trip because it's just too noisy for me and it will just really, really put me in a bad place. So identifying it and being aware of what you are uncomfortable with and what makes you feel frustrated, that can encompass sensory and emotional regulation, right? So from the sensory processing aspect, it really is how we see the world, how we view the world, and how we learn how to adapt in different environments.
Mm. Oh wow! Thank you for sharing that. Um, I feel like, our kids who are living with autism and other developmental disabilities, they have a lot of sensory. You see some of them covering their ears too.
Mm-hmm.
Lightning is another thing that I see a lot of time. Touch. They don't want to be touched. My daughter does not want to be touched. Like, you cannot even,
Mm-hmm.
if you try to hug her, sometimes she will say no.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes she will hold the phone and it's as loud as anything. It's loud to us, but it's not loud to her. And I'm like,
Right.
what's
Right.
going on? How are you processing things? How are you processing things? So I agree with what you just said. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, everyone. Please leave your question for Nicole. She's gonna address it. She's gonna address them
Put the
towards the
questions
end of the
in.
session. And please like. I see only one like on this session. Please go ahead and like. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next question. Can you share a real life example of progress when these skills are supported? Can you share a real life example of progress when these skills are supported?
Share a real life example of progress when the skills are supported. Oh,
Yes.
definitely. And that's the epitome of what we do, right? We want to see progress on an individual basis. And so what progress looks for one may be different progress for another, and no two child is the same. Um So I want to think of a good example. Um, so I'm just gonna highlight. I work with a 13-year-old young man. He receives OT, BCBA, and speech. I'm sorry if you hear snoring. That's my dog. She is snoring.
Oh my gosh.
She is knocked out. Um, but yes, so it's 13. He's nonverbal, and he has an AAC device. And an AAC device is an augmentative alternative communication device. So that's his talker, that's his voice, right? That's his device, his use of functional communication. And last year, September, when he started school, it was a new school, a new class, new teachers. And so there were a lot of different new behaviors that we were seeing. And, at that age, at the time he was 12, at that age, we're talking about puberty, we're talking about hormones all over the place, in addition to these other factors that are like, wait a minute now, what we were doing before, we were making some good progress. He was really following a routine. I would incorporate the AEC device in the session. um, we were learning IADL skills, instrumental activities of daily living skills. So he was folding clothes, he was buttoning shirts, he was learning to like really understand like functional activities. So when this new change came about, I started to observe the different behaviors, and I get to a point where I'm just like, I need to reassess because now we have to pivot. And so I like to collaborate with parents. And I said, Mom, please explain to me what's happening. Has there been any changes? Has been, what's going on? And she really explained to me a lot of things, the changes and the challenges that's been happening. And so I collaborated with a BCBA in addition to another OT colleague. And what we did is take it down to the baseline approach, the fundamentals of rewards. So giving him using the token system where we have a board with 5 stars. And so I incorporated like every 5 minutes, we do a task, he earns a star. We do another task for 5 minutes, he earns a star. And that gave him the incentive to want to earn all 5 stars. And at the end, his reward was to like read a book or play with puzzles, or also just let him be unstructured and have free play. That was truly effective because the behaviors that were coming out in the center was kicking, was throwing himself to the floor, was pulling a therapist's hair, not mine. Praise God, it was not my hair. Um, was eloping, so he was trying to escape whatever room that he was in. Um, and so when I really took it down to working as partners with mom and saying, let's start moving in a different direction, she started giving me some of the things that he loves, his favorite things, some things that interest him. So we do movement exercise, dance freeze or the floor is lava, anything like that. Um, and then give him rest breaks, like, for the whole session. He may need some type of sensory break. So the progress has happened to where that was successful. And so when I was starting to see the dysregulated behavior, I was like, that's not functional because not just in the center, it's home, it's at church, it's at the grocery store. So, how can we work on helping him learn to regulate and understand that his nervous system, for him to learn to feel safe and calm in different spaces? So that's one example I can think of.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. That's really, I love that example because I think one way you kind of use some kind of ABA in there because the This child was rewarded at every task that was completed. I feel like you used some kind of ABA, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, please feel
I
free to
like to
leave
be
your
multidisciplinary.
yes, yes, we work together. We always work together. Please leave your questions. If you have any question for Nicole, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. But I have a question, a follow-up question to that. What are simple strategies parents can use at home to support regulation? What are simple things parents can use at home to support regulation?
So that's a good question. I'm gonna have full transparency, right? I have a beautiful, energetic, brave, courageous, loving, super talented 5-year old nephew, and he's autistic. However, he has made leaps and bounds in so many different areas. Like, I'm so proud of him and the progress that he's made. Um, but in a sense where we want to create a routine in his daily life to follow, because he does, he's a toddler. At the same time, he has needs, and he has sensory needs, he has emotional needs. So what I advise my parents, right, because they're part-time caregivers for my nephew and my niece, is to create a system where he can check in and know that this is what's expected, then this, then this, then this. And so looking at the day-to-day activities, from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to bed, we have a checklist of what he can anticipate, what's next, and what to expect. So he wakes up, he watches cartoons, he eats his fruits. So Elijah will take his marker and check that off. And there's an excitement, right? Because he's like, oh, I did this, yay! And he knows that he's going to work towards a reward. The next is brush your teeth, wash your face. He checks that off. So whatever the day-to-day activity is, that is written down on like a dry erase board that he can visually see, that be placed on the fridge, on the door of the fridge. And knowing that that's where he kind of occupies his time most of the time, it's like a nice way to, like, okay, this is the checklist. I'm going to keep going back to it and to see what I did and what's next. And
Mm,
you verbally tell him, don't underestimate the intelligence of our children, because you communicate to them what is happening, whether they're nonverbal or whatever the case may be, they still have understanding. There's still receptive language. And so I I I always try to encourage parents to support those needs. Whatever you see the breakdown is happening, try to tap into that area that they're struggling. So I definitely mentioned checklist, but also verbal reminders or visual reminders. I love that we can work on different strategies of, I'm just trying to think, sorry, I just had a blank. Different strategies of knowing how to stay grounded. So if we are having emotional frustration or emotional outbursts, there are sensory mindfulness techniques that we can work, whether it's um, meditation and kind of just like being in a dim lit room,
mm,
um, being away from any auditory noises or any distractions. Sometimes you just gotta like kind of cave in, kind of like stay silent to
mm,
reset and try again. And so I like grounding techniques. Um, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. 5 things that you can touch, 4 things that you can see, 3 things that you can taste, 2 things that you can, I was get confused, but 2, 1, whatever the senses is. And that can also be a distraction. Ignoring things around you, it kind of resets and activates your executive function or your frontal lobe. So, and kind of just calms your limbic system. So, making that connection and saying, well, if I'm an emotional person, I get easily frustrated. I can tap into deep breathing techniques, right? And there's a technique called box breathing where you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold it for 7 seconds. So those are ways to like kind of, and these are things that we use. Actually, I think we would truly benefit from a lot of these techniques where I feel very stressful right now. I feel overwhelmed. There's times I'm at work and I'm about to give a presentation and I'm not the most, I don't like public speaking at all, Ronke. You know that. But I feel like it's you and I talking. But before I came on here, I literally just practiced some deep breathing. And another source of a strategy is talking to God and really having that one way connection and saying, God, I need you. I want to be able to be successful, like kind of just speaking life into my existence, right? So um I don't know what the belief systems of my students are, but I do encourage them to practice gratitude and know that when you have when you are focused on gratitude, you're not focusing on the things that you're lacking. So being grateful for waking up in the morning, grateful for being able to go from home to school safely. New York City is not for the weak, so being able to leave your house and go to school and go back home, that's a blessing. That's an underrated blessing. So yeah, those are some of the strategies. I like timers. I think visual timers are excellent. It gives them that sense of initiating something and terminating something, and knowing that when the timer goes off, it's time to end the activity or it's time to move on. Um, Especially with my high school students, when it comes to homework, in the beginning of the school year, I will ask them, what does your 24 hours of the day look like? Because if you're using your time outside of school playing video games, that's a time robber, right? That's a huge distraction. That is a way of like not making efficient use or using your time wisely. But then we talk about time savers. It's like, okay, then I can start ahead of time, start working on my homework and breaking it down. And maybe at 7:30, after I had soccer practice, after I ate dinner, I spend time with my family, maybe it comes down to where 7:30 to 8:30 I can like really lock in to doing my homework. And a lot of times they're like, oh, I didn't know I had that time that I could do my homework. I didn't know that I had, I didn't understand or really realize that I do waste a lot of time by playing video games or scrolling on social media. So it really is the awareness and increase in awareness.
Wow. Whew, thank you so much for sharing. I've learned a couple of things that you said. For my daughter, I found out that the visual timer, the visuals work really well. You've touched on that. But I'm
Hmm.
really interested in the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That caught my attention because look, I have my pen with me. I'm writing as well. I'm writing as well. The deep breathing, we do the deep breathing. The box breathing, I just heard that. So I kind of like that.
Hmm.
4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. I love that.
Hmm.
But I'm really interested in the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I will ask you a follow-up question.
Okay. Wait, say that again. What was the last part?
Yeah, so for me, I think I'm kind of interested in the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hmm.
And then I have a follow-up question after that.
Okay. Do you want me to explain that a little bit more?
Yes, please explain the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 again.
Oh, okay, okay. So when a lot of oftentimes when I see my students, they experience such big emotions and big feelings, right? and it might not be as urgent as they may think it is. So I always do a check-in, and when I see them, I there's three questions I ask. Um, did you sleep well last night? How many hours did you sleep? Did you eat breakfast? And then I go back to the gratitude question. Sleep and food, it's what feeds our brain. So if we're sleepy and we're hungry, we're not ready to learn. And so you're so quick to be impulsive, so quick to act out on your emotions, and it's not necessarily the reality. Like we because you're coming from a place of empty, it's not you're not going to be able to go through the day effectively. So if I have a student at 8:30 in the morning and I have those questions, by the end of the day, I ask the student, how was your day? Like a vibe check-in. Um, Oftentimes, when they do the vibe check-in, they're either feeling overwhelmed, either feeling sad, feeling not confident, feeling stressed, tired. And so just to kind of like have them know what system that they can put in place on their own. Because whether it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique or the deep breathing, nobody can see that, right? If they feel like they're gonna be singled out, nobody can see what you're doing. This is like an internalized mechanism that you can work on yourself. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique is one of those grounding techniques that will really put you in a space of being mindful where you are right now in the present moment. Because when a lot of our kids will talk about stress and anxiety, they're worried about tomorrow. They're worried
Mm,
about this test tomorrow. They're worried about this homework that's due next week. They're worried about what college you're going to go to, or they're worried about what's happening on social media. Let's stay mindful of where we are right now. And
mm.
so with that technique, let me write this down because I want to make sure I say the sentences correctly. And so I firmly believe that we can give them these tools to know how to self regulate, because we can't be beside them all day, every day. They, at the end of the day, we give them the strategies, we give them the tools, and they have to start applying it themselves. So it's more so self regulation. Um, mm, so I will give them, I'll give them this technique where what we're talking about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 things you can see. Sorry, 5 things you can touch. I can touch my water bottle, I can touch my laptop, I can touch my lamp, I can touch my hair, and those are 5 things. Then you go on to four, four things you can taste. If I had lunch at a time, I can taste rice and peas and oxtail. I don't know. I can taste my lemon water. I can taste um my chewing gum, right? And if you don't taste four, that's fine. I'm just kind of randomizing the different senses. It's not the strict rule of it. It's just knowing that there are the 5 senses that you can really incorporate in this technique. So then 3 things that you can see. I can see you. I can see my dog sleeping. I can see the house across the street in my window. 2 things that you can, what did I say?
Touch this.
Hear.
Here. Yeah.
I can hear the birds chirping, and if my um, space heater is on, I can hear that. And then one thing I can, what's the other sense? My God,
Touch this. See here.
my brain
Uh,
gets kind of cloudy sometimes.
touch this. See here.
Smell.
Feel. Smell. Yep.
One thing you could smell. So that's not a strict order. you could kind of like play around with it, but as long as you get that child to see the world around them and it causes them to kind of reset, like let's snap out of our dysregulated moment, let's snap out of the fight or flight, and get into a space of, okay, I'm calm, I feel safe, I feel important, I feel brave, I feel like I can push through. um, so yeah, the student I mentioned that was supposed to go to a college fair, I used that technique with him because it was such an intense moment. That day he came to my room. I had other students, and a teacher brought him down to my room because he requested to come to see me. And I said, I can see you in next period. I'm with my students right now, but please come back fourth period. I was hoping that he came back because I didn't want to make him feel rejected, and he actually did come back fourth period. And it was just a roller coaster of emotions. I'm talking like boohoo crying, tell me some really vulnerable things he would that you would tell a therapist, right? And I just, the compassion and the empathy was there. And so we got to a space where I know he wanted to leave. I know he called his mom and he's like, I want to get out. I want to go come home. Can you come and pick me up? And at that time, as you know, I'm a little bold. Sometimes I could kind of like cross lines a bit. It's like, let me talk to your mother. Let me talk to her. So as I'm talking to mom, we're both teaming up to help him get back into a safe space. And and so mom, honestly, say his name is Bobby. Bobby, mom has to work. Even though she works from home, the reality is she has to work. So she can't come from the Upper West Side all the way downtown to pick you up. So like that's reality number one. And number two, you're okay. You're here, you're safe. If you want to stay here as long as you want to, that's okay. But we can't continuously try to escape. Like we can't have building on what is currently happening. Um, I hear you and I understand you and your feelings are valid, but when it really comes down to it, if you push through toward the end of the day. Like I am here to applaud you. I'm your biggest fan.
Mm.
And the next day he came to my room bright and early with his breakfast and he was like, I'm ready to go. So there are success stories and there's some stories where, kids just really can't, they really don't know how to break out of that. It's such a deeply rooted pattern. And so it might not take one session, it might not take a week. It's just continuously being consistent with showing up for them and telling them that I'm here, you're okay, you will be okay. So yeah, that was my long-winded answer.
Wow. My gosh, thank you so much. Um, I actually want to read the someone's comment. Someone said, Mikhail said, I find that setting expectations helps my daughter. For example, letting her know first, let's finish this, and then we will do such and such. I definitely agree with you. I think it helps my daughter as well. We call that in
Mm-hmm.
ABA. I don't know if you have that in OT, but we call that in ABA. First
Mm-hmm.
this, then that. So first, this
Correct.
is an activity that you complete, then you get a reward. I think when
Right.
they kind of look forward to that reward, it prepares their mind. They want to do it. They want to do whatever you ask them to do,
Mm-hmm.
because they know that there's a reward for their labor. That's what I'm going to say. Like there's a reward
Mm-hmm.
that they're looking forward to. So setting that expectation clear is very helpful. And like you said
Mm-hmm.
too, visual schedule is another thing that I love so much. They have to see it. That's me. If I don't see, for example, if I buy something from the store and I can't see it, I'll forget that I bought something from the store. So I have to see it
Right.
so that it's there. Some people can remember
Correct.
things that they don't see. Me, I have to I have to see it right here in front of me to know that I bought this thing, and
Right.
I have it. So, thank you for sharing that. And my last question to you. Last question, I
Okay,
promise.
Ronke now.
All right. Thank you everyone for staying tuned. Please like and please leave your questions or comment. Um, what is one key message you want every parent or caregiver to understand about executive function and regulation? What is one key message you want every parent or caregiver to understand about executive function and regulation?
Um, she's snoring again. Just FYI, if you hear her,
I hear. I hear.
she is enjoying that sleep. That's so. One thing that I would be like a takeaway message. Um, you know your child. You know what works and what doesn't work. And oftentimes we look at the deficits, the flaws, imperfections, what they can and cannot do. And a lot of times we look at the things that they can't do. But when you look at a human being from a strength-based approach, you're looking at the victories, the successes, the things that they are good at, their abilities, and that will supersede the things that they are struggling with, right, over time and with consistency and with support. So you zoom in on instead of zooming in on the challenges, we look at the things that is working, and then incentivize that and help them through their struggles. So I often use a lot of things that interest my kids, whether it's dinosaurs, trains, um, airplanes, those kind of things that gets them excited and will want to work for, and highlighting that so they can know that, okay, I feel good, so I want to do better. I found this quote. I don't know where it's from, so I don't know who wrote it, but I felt like it was very uh, timely. We can't expect children to use executive function skills when their emotional brain is in charge. First, we help them feel safe and calm, then we teach and guide. So, oftentimes, the school I work in is super supportive. They're very collaborative. They understand the needs of students. So, when it comes to whether it's the sensory needs or the emotional needs, teachers are so willing to really tap into helping that particular student. And whatever it is, if there's a common corner, like I created a common corner in one of my social studies class, whether it's taking a walk in the hallway, whether it's using a bathroom, whether it's drinking some water, whether it's just like, I just need 5 minutes and then I can like check back into school, into class, into the activity. But teaching them to advocate for their own needs and knowing that it's okay to not feel okay, but we don't want to unpack in that because we want to be able to be successful. But I would definitely encourage parents to come from a place of allowing them to feel safe and knowing that their nervous system is, we all experience struggles with our emotions and our moods and our sensitive areas, but helping them to feel calm and feel safe, and so they are ready to learn, they're ready to be taught, they're ready to be guided. So I think that's one message I would encourage parents.
Whew. Oh, thank you. So, look, I think you will come back for part two.
Come now,
Honestly,
I'm ready.
honestly, I feel like I learned a lot from this session tonight because I see my daughter in a lot of these things that you're talking about, and I'm like, okay. So, thank you so much because this is something that cut across the lifespan from zero
Mhm.
to adulthood. We see these things continuously. And I feel like a couple, because people don't understand. People are just, especially when you go out, when you're outdoor and people see your child acting one way, they tend to judge. They tend to tell you,
Mhm.
oh, um the way you train this child, or oh, the child is spoiled. People say different things because they do not
Mm-hmm.
understand what
Right.
regulation means. Some kids cannot self-regulate, so it's difficult for some of them to self-regulate. So you really have to
Mm-hmm.
talk through it. People will be like, okay, why are you talking to that child instead of you? Some people actually believe in, pow pow. I don't want to say, but um, I feel like that's not helpful, right? There are different ways that you can help your child to self-regulate.
Mm-hmm.
Aside that, so thank you so very much for your time, Nicole. I'm really look. This is really good. So thank you for coming on.
Runky, I'll do anything for you. This, we locked in. We locked in. Okay. I'm gonna do a shameless plug because I feel like I'm going to big up Agape House of Worship, located in 239 East First Avenue in Roselle, New Jersey. This is a church that has a special needs ministry. So if you are looking for a place of worship and you have a child, whatever their diagnosis, whatever, we don't look at IEPs, we don't ask questions. If you have a child that may not understand how to sit in a sanctuary and listen to the message, we provide them a unique way to experience God. So again, 239 East First Avenue, Roselle, New Jersey. And this is where I met Ron K. This is where I we have bonded. She literally was, I met Sean first, and then I met you. And the two of you together, I found my tribe. I literally felt like you're the epitome of iron sharpens iron. And I
Thank you.
appreciate you so much. Like, I'm so in awe of you. That you're a champion for the autism community. You have so much compassion, and whatever you do, I don't have the book on you, but she's also a book author. Don't sleep on that. Okay. Yes,
Nicole,
so
thank you. I don't even remember to share my book. I wouldn't even lie. I can't even remember. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Look, Nicole,
absolutely.
I think I need to also say this. It's very important. She's part of our special needs ministry. Very helpful. She brings her therapist hat. She brings it to church, right? And like she said, our church is a place, because I know people always complain about not finding the right place to worship because of
Mm-hmm.
that. I've seen that on IG, and I literally wrote
Mm-hmm.
my church address right there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my church family, they welcome you, so that you're able to
Yes.
worship. You have some kind of respite. They take over your kid, they take care of your kid while you're able to worship and then
Mm-hmm.
come to God. And I think that's one thing that I'm always grateful for the church family that we have. You can literally leave your child and then just take like 2 hours break in church and focus on God. And
Exactly.
Nicole, those that helps us in that ministry. Look, I don't take this for granted, even though sometimes when I
Mm-hmm.
get there, I'll be like, bye kids. I need that time
See you later.
to be able to focus. And I'm really grateful for you. Thank you so much. And if you see us chatting today, oh my gosh. But thank you, Nicole. You know, I can always call
Yes.
you.
Yes. You don't
Thank
even
you so
have to say it. I
much.
get it.
Thank you. And thank you. She also have like a support group. She has a support group. Please
Oh
talk up.
yes, yes, yes. This is a new endeavor that God definitely placed in my life. It meets monthly, every third Monday of the month, and it's a support group where moms come and share about the highs and their lows, the laughs and the cries, and the politics of education, and the feelings of loneliness, and also the rewards of it. So yeah, I'm new to it. I created this support group because I felt like there was such a need for um, being in the community level, and knowing that OTs can also um, be placed on that level where we can work and support one another as individuals. You know, I'm not a mother, but I'm a doggy mom, and I do know that it takes a village to create love and unity and happiness and peace. And so if it's just my little, you know, support to these moms that are so brave and so um just just doing everything in their power to support their children as they go through their school career, I'm there to help them navigate that. So it's located in Elizabeth. Again, we meet once a month, every third Monday. And yeah, I can share that information if you want to.
Yes, please go ahead. I think I need to also visit you. Only if you're not choosing Monday.
Yes, I need you to be a guest speaker.
I need to
come
come.
come with the expertise.
I need to come. I think I need to come. And talk to parent. I think that'll be something that I need to. We need to plan that.
Hmm.
So I can stop by and just kind of chat with
We're gonna make
parent.
that happen. We're gonna make that happen. It's called Connecting the Pieces. It's in a nonprofit organization called Josephine's Place. So that's my little plug.
Wow. Thank you for that. Look, I want to say thank you so much for coming. I think mom said, great job, Nicole. Part two is coming. Yes, we want that for part two.
Woo! Okay, mommy.
I'm
The part
excited.
two is coming. Yes, so
Thank you for supporting me. We need part two. Yes.
yes.
For how you do for our kids. Honestly, for me, as a professional myself, I don't take it for granted. I don't. Everything you do, especially in church when you're supposed to be part of the church. And then you show up,
Hmm.
you just want our kids, you have the schedule in place. I'm telling you, it's awesome. You don't know how helpful that is for our families. People don't usually say, but I will say it in the open because I've been in the school system. I've worked in the school system before, and I know how it is. So for everyone working with our children, any professional, anybody, even the respite workers, our staff, I appreciate each and every one of you. I can only pray that the Lord will reward your labor of love because I know it's a lot of work, right? Um,
Amen.
and it takes empathy and passion to be able to do what you
Hmm.
do, right? So we truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming.
I
Um,
appreciate you, Ronke. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your time. Everyone, we appreciate you for being here the whole session. We spent more than 1 hour,
Thank
by
you
the way.
all for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Please feel free to share and like. Um, God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful week, everyone. Thank you. You're welcome. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye.